Hi everyone, I just finished Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and rather than hopping on Twitter and absolutely ruining it for everyone, I thought I would record a video and sort of test out my computer's webcam, which, as it turns out, is absolutely terrible. Yay! Um, so yeah, I just finished Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. So for those of you that don't know what it is, and there are lots of people who don't, it's the script for the stage play currently in London. Um, yeah, the play itself, like, I am a huge defender of the book series up until the flash forward, which for me felt like she was setting something up. And everyone's like, no, no, she just wanted to tie everyone together and, stop the fan fiction community writing their own pairings and, killing off OTPs left, right, and center and things like that. But I'm like, no, 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 it really feels like she's trying to set something up. And then lo and behold, this play is announced, and it is the adventure that starts. Like, the opening scene is literally the final scene of Deathly Hallows. And that's where we start, and that launches us into this adventure. And, you've got Harry's middle son, Albus, who is he's not as shouty as Harry was in Order of the Phoenix, but he is definitely on the emo side of things. You have Scorpius, who's Draco's son, and you have Delphi, who, spoiler alert, like seriously, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, is pretending to be Cedric Diggory's cousin, but is in actual fact Voldemort's daughter. Yeah, how's that for a Days of Our Lives twist? So one of the really wonderful things about the Harry Potter series is its textual integrity. You can tell that it was really well planned. Like, there are the stories of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets originally being called Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So you have that whole plot thread that was saved for book 6 was originally part of book 2, which meant possibly she was going to define Horcruxes that early, which is great that she was thinking about all that stuff really, really early on. Where it all falls apart is when you have things like, oh, we're going to suddenly introduce Deathly Hallows in the final book. But I was willing to give her the benefit of the doubt because she was always introducing things and things like that. But I know that the introduction of the Deathly Hallows in particular ticked off a lot of readers with the final book. But overall, the series had its rules and it more or less stuck to them. And it told its story, and that was it. And she stepped away from it once the story had been told. As predictable as things got by the time we got to Deathly Hallows, most of us knew that Harry was going to have to die in some way. We assumed he was some kind of Horcrux, and we were right. Those of us that cared about Snape, I was not one of them, assumed that he was good, and the way that he was acting in Half-Blood Prince was as a sort of double agent. But yeah, now we go into the play, and the play doesn't tell a new story. It is very much built on the original series, and it is, you've got a time turner. Oh, terrible. But I absolutely love the use of time travel in Azkaban. It is without a doubt my favorite in the series. And I love that idea of, even though there is time travel, it is closed loop. So Harry sees his future self and mistakes him for his father. And so there is only the one timeline. And I know that every time a new book came out, everyone would be really, really annoyed. Oh, but they have a device that can go back in time. And so then you had, in Order of the Phoenix, they're like, oh, we destroyed all the time turners. But the thing about that is that time travel was portrayed as irrelevant. If you could go back in time, that change has already occurred. So if you failed and you need to go back in time, it is pointless because you've already gone back in time, if that makes sense. And that's they're the rules that Azkaban established. And then I read Cursed Child, and you get some ridiculous butterfly effect bullshit going on, where it's like, oh, you made Cedric Diggory jealous, so he became a Death Eater and killed Neville, and it's just like, what? So yeah, so not only do they mess up the timeline twice, so it's where they go back to sort of change the past, they go back to the Triwizard Tournament, and really just not good, because they make really small changes, and that sends the world on a hugely divergent timeline, and then they go back to fix it, and it literally takes them one scene and it's all fixed. It's like, okay, that was kind of pointless. And so they made all these paradoxes or whatever, all these changes to the timeline, and then it gets to the point where the story builds to Delphi revealing that she is Bellatrix and Voldemort's secret love child. And she was inspired by a prophecy. And that really, really pissed me off, because I really, really loved, for all its faults, Order of the Phoenix introduced that prophecy plotline, but it didn't in a way that most Chosen One narratives didn't really approach it. You have this sort of, yes, he's the Chosen One, but because someone predicted he would be the Chosen One, that made him the Chosen One, and so that influenced the way that Voldemort behaved. And so this other prophecy, we don't know who made it, we don't know its context at all, I think, and it's just now Delphi is trying to stop her dad from making a huge mistake. So she goes back in time to Godric's Hollow, the night that Harry's parents died, because it's her plan to stop Voldemort. And by this point, sort of, they've stopped writing a script where people interact like humans, and they're more like talking at each other like Hallmark greeting cards, which is really great. They're like, love, but love is important. Yes, love is the greatest thing at all. And so, but the plot itself in that moment works for me in a way that it didn't earlier, because they don't change the past. Everything that happens in the past, but it could have believably happened on the same timeline. And I really think if they just really thought about it and they wanted to do a time travel story, then instead of going back in time to change things, they went back in time to stop someone else changing things. And I know there's less drama if they're not enacting actual changes that you see, but some of these are so cringeworthy. Like, you see Hermione as, Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, which was pretty cool, and then you ended up seeing Hermione as this sort of like leader of the rebels, and it's just like, it was just odd. A lot of people are saying it reads like fan fiction, where you see your favorite characters in, ridiculous situations that sound like a fan's fever dream. And I get that, but I think that puts down fan fiction in a really, really big way. Because I think they have more respect for the rules of the universe that have been built and that are accepted. The most hurtful thing about Cursed Child is that it is a plot built from absolutely nothing. Okay, we've had our prophecy, it's fulfilled. All right, let's just get a new prophecy. Oh, this is how time travel works in this world. Oh, okay, let's just completely do time travel in a different way, and then have a 5-minute spiel about the butterfly effect and the ripples. And I'm just sitting there reading this going, this is like really, it's like a poorly done episode of Futurama. And that was the vibe that I got the whole way through. And then I think there were things that they tried to do and tried to look at, but overall it really, really fell flat for me. And look, as a reader, for me, the series ends immediately before the flash forward, and that's the way that I'm going to approach the canon from here on out. I know it sounds really, really petulant, and but there are things to learn from this, especially if I end up writing something that I write a sequel to, or write 7 sequels to it. It's to make sure that every single story needs to be told and it is respectful of what came before it. While everyone's going to say, oh, J.K. Rowling's gotten everyone back in bookstores to buy books. Oh, she's getting people into the theatre to watch theatre. J.K. Rowling is saving everyone. That's all well and good, but I really think there needed to be someone just to sit there and go, well, actually, this isn't very good. And Angsty Harry makes a return, but you have adult angst, and he says whilst a lot, and nor, which is very believable. And I will say, though, the first time Dumbledore's painting appears, I could hear it in Dumbledore's voice, and that was wonderful. But something I'm hearing from a lot of readers is that J.K. Rowling's voice feels missing from the piece, and I really wonder how much of it she actually wrote. Like, there's some stuff where the kids are talking, and I'm like, oh, these actually sound like teenagers in more ways than the kids in the original book sounded. So, but yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm kind of just letting it sort of crash over me at the moment. I don't think I can see my opinion of it changing. I'm sure, if I see the stage play and I see the magic of it, it'll be a wonderful experience. But I think as words on a page, and where we don't get, the production values and the razzle dazzle, as a story itself, it's just not good enough, unfortunately. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, available now.